Hey guys, welcome back to the JPM Performance channel. It is once again time for a shop tour. We are here on December 8th. So Joe Smith and I are actually, right after we're done filming this, we're headed off to PRI, which is the Performance Racing Industry Show in Indianapolis. Hopefully see some of you guys there. If you happen to catch me wandering around and I don't see you, grab me and say hello. So hope to see some of you guys there this weekend. We will be there for Friday and some of Saturday attending the show. If you haven't been, put it on your list. All sorts of cool ideas. Sometimes I go and just to get some good ideas and see some of the latest bits and pieces in the racing industry. So that's always a good time. In the meantime, let's get right into the shop tour. So actually got a chance for the first time to take apart an ND MX-5 Diff, and I was kind of surprised what Mazda had come up with. I know that they were trying to make these cars, the NDs, lighter, more like the NAs were. And so what they came up with was an all aluminum differential housing where the bearings are actually held in place with the rear cover. So it's kind of an interesting setup that holds them together. So it's a little trickier to set your backlash and your bearing preload because you can't really get to it. And being all aluminum like this, while it does bring weight out, the thing that I see potentially being a problem is the fact that because it's all aluminum, you've got dissimilar metals. So we've got a steel ring and pinion and a steel limited slip, obviously, in an all aluminum case. So doing a little research on what we're really going to be setting the backlash on that and kind of moving forward. But it's kind of interesting to see an ND. D as in dog. Sometimes when you're talking about these different generations, guys will say NB, think they say ND. For those of you that don't know, 1990 to 1997 were the NAs, NA as in apple, 1.6 liter engines from 90 to 93. And then the first iteration of the 1.8 liter engine from 94 to 97. They took 98 off before they came out with the NB, B as in boy. They redid the 1.8 liter engine with a better flowing cylinder head, and they did those for 2 years, 99 and 2000. Those were some of the most popular cars, still are, if you can find them with low miles. In 01, they came out with the variable valve timing, the VVT. Still a 1.8 liter, very similar cylinder head, different intake manifold, but they made those from 01 to 05. That was the last of the NBs, B as in boy. Then the NCs came out, the biggest MX-5 Miata they ever made, completely different engine. It's actually a Ford engine. They call it an MZR, which is also a Duratec from the day. 2 liter engine from 06 to 2015. Then they came out with the NDs as in dog, and that's when they tried to make the cars light again like the NAs, which they did. And this is an example of one of the ways they made these lighter. These differentials compared to an NC diff is about 20 pounds lighter. So a little concerned about how well it might hold up, but that's yet to be determined in a racing application. So there's your history of Miata MX-5s for the day. Rolling this direction, you can see I've got a bunch of tools on the cart here, right in the middle of doing some work, but we do have some interesting stuff going on. So I've got, this is a K20 for his rallycross car, for his Honda Civic. This is the crankshaft for it. I'm waiting on him to send me a flywheel so we can get this balanced, but it all measured out good. This is Ken Kennard's B18A1. I think we talked about that last week. Waiting on a front crank damper for it. Already have the flywheel here. And then disassembling the KSeries cylinder head. For any of you that haven't taken apart a KSeries engine, they are a completely different animal than a B-Series engine when Honda came out with them. Really cool. These 2 liter engines can make some pretty big power, even in pretty stock form. So you're going to be seeing some pretty cool things coming up with that engine. If Peter lets me, I should probably ask him about that. In the meantime, I've been getting right into Steve Johnson's program. Car's up on the lift, as you can see. And once again, I am in complete love with my transmission jack. Why I did not have one of these 15 years ago is beyond me. but it just makes it so easy to raise and lower this transmission in and out of the car, saves my back. A little tip for the day down here, after I pulled his transmission out, we were checking, he wanted me to check the clutch. So these puck clutches, I see this all the time. You see how the material, the friction material is just completely gone and deteriorated on a lot of these corners. You see this a lot with these puck style clutches, and I'm actually completely going away from this style clutch. So we'll be running a full face organic with springs, putting back into his car, which will give you really good modulation. You can get these with enough pressure plate force that can still handle some pretty high horsepower numbers, so nothing to worry about there, but not a big fan of those puck style clutches. Over here, actually had Mark Webber here last week. So this is his seating position. For those of you that watched me fit Steven Simons into his car, you know that the most important thing to make a driver really comfortable is getting him in his position and then making the cage work around him. Now, one of the big differences you're going to see here between this car and Steven's car is that I can put an entire hand here behind this seat, whereas Steven's, we moved all the way back. Well, Mark Webber's more like 5'9", Steven's more like 6'4". So this actually is making my life a little bit easier for getting him into the car and getting the cage done. So got the rest of the roll cage tubing. That'll be here first of the week. Going to get this car finished up, get the fabrication done and off to powder coat so we can be done with that. Looking pretty good. And then he is actually going to put the car together as much as he can, and at some point it'll come here for some final touches. Jake's car I've just been chipping on. I've been underneath pulling some bits and pieces out, getting ready to pull the engine. He's not going racing until the spring, and so while I've got these guys that are wanting to go race sooner than that, I'm trying to get some of their projects up and running. So looking pretty good on that. Down here, there's not much going on. I've got someone coming to dyno this afternoon. Not a big fan of dynoing in the winter time because you have to open up the door and get some ventilation through, but do have someone coming here in a little bit to do some dynoing this afternoon. And as always, I've just been chipping away on the BMW. So both cams are already installed. The intake manifold is almost completed. Just kind of moving through, keeping everything going. So that's kind of our shop tour for this week, guys. Headed to the PRI show, like I said, so hoping to see some of you there. And then next week we will be getting full-blown into, some of you probably remember the Cadillac, the GT1 Cadillac. It's going to be back here real soon with a bit of a surprise for everybody to see. So I don't know if it will be here next week in time for the shop tour or not, but in 2 weeks for sure, because here we are in December and he wants to go race in Sebring, which is like 5 weeks away. So we're going to have ourselves a bit of a push on that. The car's going to be getting a new wrap job on it, and I've got some fun, exciting things to show you guys here. Like I said, if not next week, for sure the week after that. So in the meantime, stay warm. If you're traveling to Indianapolis for the PRI show, travel safe. Looks like we're going to have pretty decent weather for our drive here, and we'll see you guys real soon. Take care.